Hello, I'm Amy Zaby with the Jerusalem Connection Red Alert Report for Wednesday, August 21. A few updates. You may not have heard this on the mainstream media, but I saw it in only two places, the Times of Israel and a few other media outlets on the internet via Israel, and a local New York, New Jersey CBS news station. It seems that the weekend before last, over 50 tires of vehicles who are owned by Jewish people in a predominantly Orthodox neighborhood in New Jersey were slashed. This is after several other incidents of vandalism have occurred in the New York, New Jersey area. This uptick of anti-Semitic targeting against Jewish people in the metropolitan area is being underreported by the U.S. press and not addressed by local elected officials. I am sure the police are doing whatever they can, but there needs to be more coverage of this so that people understand that anti-Semitism and the target of peaceful Jewish American citizens in their neighborhoods is not going to be tolerated. As well, Dr. Andrew Bostrom, an American author who's written several books, has given a presentation on July 30th to the Zionist Organization of America. And this was regarding a study that was conducted by the Anti-Defamation League in Europe. In Europe, the uptick of anti-Semitism is palatable, and the assumption is that its origins are in white supremacy and Nazi-type philosophical foundations. However, and I reported on this from another journalist a couple weeks ago, that it seems like the Islamic anti-Semitism is the origin of much of the activities ongoing in Europe at this point. Now, the ADL may have found its findings too, quote, Islamic phobic to report on, and they have been under reporting, in my opinion, the research data that their study had revealed, that the majority of anti-Semitism activities that are happening in Europe are demonstrated from a foundation of Islamic Jew hatred rather than the Nazi-type white supremacy that we had seen, of course, in the last century. As well, follow up to legislative news, I reported happily a week or so ago that the U.S. Congress bipartisanly passed a resolution condemning BDS as anti-Semitic. And this, of course, is a wonderful thing for the world to recognize that our bipartisan Congress recognizes it. However, 21 members of the Israeli Knesset penned a letter to the U.S. Congress voicing its thanks for that sincere effort, but also putting forth a warning and a concern regarding a loophole that they found in the resolution. The resolution includes the phrases, quote, urges Israelis and Palestinians to return to direct negotiations as the only way to achieve an end to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And it goes on to say, for a negotiated solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict resulting in two states, a democratic Jewish state of Israel and a viable democratic Palestinian state living side by side in peace, security, and mutual recognition. Now, of course, the Congress's resolution putting that language in, I would venture to guess, was a sincere effort to give the benefit of the doubt that the Arab population or the Muslim population in the area could actually have a peaceful and democratic state beside Israel. However, the 21 members of Knesset that penned the letter to Congress actually appeal to the otherwise and say that that language is a little bit dangerous because, quote, and this is from the letter from the Knesset members, the establishment of an additional Arab so-called Palestinian state in the region would severely damage the national security of both Israel and the United States. It goes on to say, such a state would undoubtedly be a dysfunctional terrorist state which would distance peace and undermine stability in the Middle East. As politicians, we understand that these resolutions are accompanied by many compromises along the way in order to reach a language that is agreed upon by the majority. However, the affirmation of support for establishing a Palestinian state is so dangerous that we respectfully request you take that into consideration and in the future avoid determining that establishing an Arab state in the territory that is the land of Israel is part of a solution to the dispute. So I wanted to call this out to you because in my report several weeks ago, praising the Congress for their nearly unanimous, save 17 votes no, that BDS is indeed anti-Semitic, and in so doing also reinforces support for Israel, they left open a little loophole that these 21 Knesset members wanted to point out. And I would venture to say that our organization, the Jerusalem Connection Report, we too do not favor a two-state solution because of the very dangers that a Palestinian or a Muslim state inside the lines of Israel would pose in terms of a threat to Israel's security. Now, this issue does deserve great debate and honest discourse, and the reasons set forth by these 21 Knesset members in their letter, what I just read, are valid and need to be considered. But again, I would say that the many people who love Israel and support of it and have a sincere desire for peace do advocate the two-state solution, but I think they do so out of a compassion and a desire to please all sides, and maybe underestimate or mistaken the true intentions of many in the area who would seek and vacuum up the power of an Arab or Palestinian state that is established. And my point here is not to actually debate the single or two-state solution, but to share with you the feedback to the U.S. Congress that these concerned members of the Israeli parliament have sent forth. And in a way, it is this resolution, of course, was a victory over BDS, recognizing it as anti-Semitic, but on the other hand, leaves a door open for more strife. And I believe this is an unintended consequence by meaningful congressional members, and I think the letter from the Knesset members also has that attitude. But we must stay vigilant and be mindful of what I would call a loophole for evil to take root. On a final note, I just need to give a shout out to the former Miss Iraq, who now resides in California. She was Miss Iraq about 2 years ago and posted on her social media pages her friendship that she established with Miss Israel and her support for Israel as a whole. She also posted pictures in her bathing suit that was part of the competition. And in that event, she was, her own Iraqi government had threatened her family, threatened to pull her citizenship, required her to denounce publicly Israel on her social media site and take down pictures of her with Miss Israel, her dear friend to this day. She has since moved to America with her family, thank God, but she has been taking on Ilhan Omar on Twitter point blank, saying that Omar's policies, what she calls Islamic socialist ideology, is what Miss Sarah Idan, Miss Iraq, had fled, and that Miss Omar is in no way representing her in the U.S. government as a Muslim woman. She also cited that Omar takes money from CARE and has a Muslim Brotherhood agenda and has wanted to separate herself from Omar as being a woman of color, a woman of the Islamic faith in Congress, and pointing out that she is presenting into the American political system the very ideas that Miss Iraq had fled. So I wanted to thank Miss Sarah for her bravery and her outspokenness. She's a true advocate for women's rights, and we are glad that you are in America. And please run for Congress when you're ready. You probably have my support. Shavua Tov, and have a great week.